Welcome back, Indie Game Fanatics, to our continuing Let's Play of the Rootrees Are Dead. You may be going, why the hell is he starting with the Adobe Premiere on the screen? And it's because what's happened was at the start of this episode, the cats accidentally shut down my computer or started the process while I was recording it. And so the file became unreadable. Thankfully, we had just started working on it, so I don't believe we lost too much information for you guys. But I've had to add this in to say, like, hey, this is the start of the episode. We're going to jump into the actual video footage of me playing the game from here. And I hope you guys enjoy and stick with it. As I said, we were just recapping the information we knew, and we were starting to read, or we were getting ready to go and read the new information that we hadn't covered yet. So we were talking about the relatives that we're not sure of still yet, but let's get back to this evidence here. Why Sam? I have many distant relatives I've never met after all. Granny had sisters, and Granddad had a brother or two, but I was told trim their branches from the family tree. Interesting. So why is Sam special? Nothing adds up, and I'm not the only one to realize. Is it possible that she had an affair at some point? I don't see anything in here that would suggest, like, within the first couple generations. Maybe it has something to do with this. Maybe Sam is this top secret. So I'm thinking this might have something to do with Sam. He might be one of the two names that was trimmed from the family tree. But then the grandmother fought to let him join the family gathering still. I'm betting Elias Jr. probably had an affair and had either a kid out of wedlock, and the woman he had the kid with were trimmed from the family tree because, you know. Alright, anyways. We're going to keep that in the back of our minds, guys. Angie summoned all of the next gens to a secret meeting in Zach's office. Gwen's in Paris, but the rest of us, including Miracle's boys, spent ages trying to unravel the mystery. I didn't recognize Sam at Uncle Junior's, wedding to Patsy last year. So Patsy would be Elias Jr., Patsy, or Patricia. It's going to be one of these. So this branch on the wife's side is either going to be Christensen or Jones. We'll see if we can find that out. At the reception, when I asked who Sam was, Pop shushed me and said it was complicated. So it might not be like an affair, but could have been out of wedlock. Like, he wasn't married to the woman, and she got pregnant, had a kid, but they didn't ever marry. And then Elias Jr. ended up marrying Patsy. Clancy swore he saw Sam working alongside the farmhands, EC and John, when he used to drive past the old Anderson farm on his way to work. Upon hearing that, Zach checked the records and managed to confirm all three are on the books. EC, John, and Sam. EC would be... No, Clancy Edward would be CE. We don't know any Johns yet that I'm aware of in this generation. So I have no idea. But we're talking about, like, this group is the ones who are like, who the hell is this guy? So Gwen was in Paris. The Miracle Boys were there. Lauren and Zach is mentioned as well. Eli, Miracle's youngest, not my brother, even chimed in. Wait a second. Eli, Miracle's youngest, not my brother. So maybe on this side, there's an Eli, and then she has an Eli, that generation. Apparently, when he was riding his mini bike alongside the farm a few weeks ago, Sam gave him some old tools and taught him how to make the bike's engine faster. None of us think that proper for a multitude of reasons, but Eli certainly seemed thrilled. At the end of the day, nothing explains why an outsider had cozied into family affairs, especially one who works on the farm of all places. Whatever happened to blood is thicker than syrup? Why is Granddad making an exception now? Alright, so unfortunately this one doesn't give us anything direct to go off of. Why Sam? So yeah, unfortunately this information doesn't give us identity other than some clues into what could be more information in the future. Yeah, this only had 3. Now this one has 14 pieces of information that are connected to other clues. A Life Between Wars, 1964, Clark. One of the final entries called Clark from Lauren Roottree's diary written in 1964. Clark's getting married, and in my opinion, far too young. He's barely 18 for God's sake, and Danielle isn't much older. But openly confronting them would make me a hypocrite. After all, Jacob and I got married at 16. Yeah, that would make you a hypocrite. Clark and Danielle. We know a Clark and Danielle? No, and she's definitely talking about, like, the younger generations. I just don't know yet. A lot of the younger generation is still a mystery. We've done well on the older. Younger's much harder. Clark, like the rest of his generation, is a free spirit. What else do you call a group of kids growing up with more money than any one person can spend? Yeah. They all aspire to be musicians and artists and dancers and all sorts of nonsense. The only one who has any discipline is Carl. That's because Pop forced Clancy to send him to the academy. So his dad would also be a Clancy. Clancy Jr. That would make sense. For him to be Clancy Jr. And then we know she still have 2 brothers to solve, though. Maybe I'm just getting old, but our generation was never so bad. My brothers all seemed to pursue paths of knowledge, and the most rebellious thing any of us ever did was bring home someone who would be illegal to marry if we lived anywhere south of Pennsylvania. Pop seems to have gotten over it because Edward is set to take over his department once he retires. Is there another Edward? There is. So one of her brothers is Edward. And then the other one, I think, was Elias or whatever, but I don't know which is which. We don't know who James's dad is yet. And as for me, my first published book, Swashbuckle My Heart, is based on the pirate stories I used to invent with Jacob when we were walking in the woods after school. I think he'd be proud that Clark and I are carrying on his name. Maybe Jacob is here? But no clue. Even my cousins are doing well. Zach's not a bad president after all, and his sister seems to be doing a good job raising her twins. Gwen is Gwen, but at least she came out of the divorce with her head held high. Come home next year so we can meet her kids. So Zach's Angelica Morden has kids. 2 daughters. They wouldn't be Mordens, though, so I don't know what their last names are going to be. These will be Mordens, though. How many more Mordens? There's still a lot of Mordens, huh? Oh no, he had 2 daughters, Gwendoline and Caroline, then, because those are the last 2 Mordens, so none of these are Mordens, so these are both women. Or female, I should say. I just don't know which one's which, Caroline and Gwendoline, which one of these. I think we learned that Gwendoline was one of his kids earlier. But the free spirits in any other family, they'd all end up on the streets, even Clark. Except they're not poor. Uh-oh. The only other thing I could think of would be to look up her book in the library. We'll try that. So her book's name, Swashbuckle My Heart by Lauren Roottrees. Why does it not? Copy. And then it's going to be... Nothing relevant to your investigations found. I guess her first book wasn't that good. But also that leaves us with, I don't know what the next item is going to be. We don't have any more clues here. We'd have to make quite the leaps in logic to be able to make any more progress, which I'm not really comfortable doing. Like, we're pretty sure this is Clancy Jr. Based off of the information about sending Carl to the academy. We're pretty sure this is Angelica Morden because of the mentioning on Angie. And that's the only Angie name. And she'd have to be a Morden, is the family. We're pretty sure Clark Rafferty, because it's the only, like, Jacob and to Clark made sense. They talk about Clark as her son. We know, essentially, like, that her 2 boys are these 2, but we don't know which is which. There's no information yet that we've seen about that. We have 2 people where we have their information. We just need a third. So at this point, I'm thinking we're going to have to take a stab in the dark and guess. Now, there was mention that she was the first one not to be a housewife, which would suggest that Angelica Morton was a housewife. Now, she could have changed her career later on, and then we wouldn't be sure. But the best thing I could do here would be to guess she's part of this group. So we're going to do... Got it. There's 50 blood relatives to figure out. We locked in the 5 pieces. And we've locked in most of the next gen. Alright, this will hopefully give us the info we need.
So, you may have heard the news. Some of Carl's things have gone missing. That includes the pictures and mail I brought you earlier. I promise I didn't steal it.
Okay.
But I did borrow it. I'll return it once we're done. Let me deal with my family in the meantime. Oh, I guess that means I've officially confessed. I'm a Roottree.
Audio on that last
I
part.
assure you I have a reasonable explanation for the secrecy. I'm about to do something big the family doesn't approve of.
Okay.
If you could just wait a little bit longer, I'll tell you more. In person. I'll return after 15 more blood relatives.
Oof. It's a lot more to figure out. My guess is that she is also trying to figure out the stuff to do with Zach. That would be my guess. So what's the new information here? Instead of returning, the person who hired you called on the phone. They claimed they were a Roottree. They also tell you they'd give you more of an explanation the next time they returned. That doesn't give me any additional information, though. Alright, guys. So what I'm going to do... Because, honestly, I've had to restart the streams twice today. Once because of the cats, and once because I was lagging. I am going to leave this one here. I have no clue how long the episode's been going. But I have to imagine it's somewhere around the 20-minute mark, which would be a little bit shorter of an episode. But I am also stuck here. I'd like to avoid using hints as much as possible. So if anybody has solved this puzzle a step further than where I am, I'm asking you guys to give me the clue that'll help me with making more progress. Is there something I should be searching for on the public library Spire Searcher periodicals that would give me more information to help me solve more of the puzzle? We are still missing some of the next generation. Actually, quite a bit of it because of the Roottree family here. But we're also missing over here. There's more Rootrees here. Now, what's interesting here is that they intentionally kept the Roottree name from this generation to this one, which is kind of odd. Like, it should have changed their married name, but they didn't do it. And then they kept the Roottree name as well, which was interesting. Which we do expect to be, who was it? Robert and Roland and Ronald. Those are the ones we expect to be, those two. And that's simply because of the information that we've gotten. Now, we've also heard that all of the Rootrees of this time period were artists, dancers, musicians, that kind of stuff, which does line up with not Miracle, but with James being a musician, Carl not being one, but the rest of them would all be like artists, musicians, and stuff. A lot of the Free Spirit group or generation. But there's so many of them we just don't have any information on. I don't know what Clark's image would look like in that photo of the Free Spirits. Do I not have the Free Spirits pictures? No, I took them. So they're all the, like, 70s looking guys. We've used very few of those images, though. Same with the next generation. There were so few of them in this image of the next generation. Because they only talked about 4. So I'm thinking the oldest. So we're missing... Who are we missing from that image? We know Sam was included, but we don't know anything about Sam. I'm guessing this is Sam. So one of these two is going to be... One of these two is going to be Elias Jr.'s son. We just don't know who, though. We don't have a name or an occupation for this one. But, yeah. So anyways, that's where I'm going to leave this one for now, guys. Hopefully you guys can help out. If you can't, tomorrow I'll use the clue. Giving you a heads up now, on Wednesday, there will be no episode. I've got to make a trip that morning to the airport in Orlando, so I'm going to be not home to record the episode that day. And I'm probably going to be going to sleep as soon as I get home from work that day. So Thursday, so we're going to have one tomorrow, and then we'll take a break on Wednesday, and I'll be back on Thursday. So, hope you all enjoy, and I will see you again next time.